Now here we'll see the difference between land and water when it comes to oxygen. To begin with, we must know one property of oxygen, that oxygen is sparingly soluble in water. Oxygen is sparingly soluble in water, which means it does not dissolve very easily in water. Now in the air we have a lot of oxygen. 20% of the air is oxygen, but the amount of oxygen in water is very less, which means aquatic plants and animals which are in the water, like the fish, they get very less oxygen. They have sufficient, but the amount of oxygen available to them is less, while in terrestrial animals the amount of oxygen available to them is much more. So since terrestrial animals a large amount of oxygen is available, their breathing need not be fast. They need not breathe fast. They breathe slower. But aquatic animals, since the amount of oxygen available to them is less, they need to breathe faster. So from here we can say the rate of breathing in aquatic animals is much larger the rate of breathing in terrestrial animals. And what is the reason? It's just the amount of oxygen. The amount of oxygen on the land is much more, whereas the amount of oxygen in water is less. So aquatic animals have less oxygen, so they need to breathe faster to get the sufficient amount of oxygen. Now we'll see how fish breathe. We know that the respiratory organs of the fish are the gills, and these gills, we can see the picture of the gills here. These are the gills which help the fish to breathe, and they are richly supplied with blood. That's why they're red in color. And you know why they are richly supplied with blood? Because in the end, from the water, the oxygen has to get on into the blood and taken to the different parts of the body. Now, how does the fish breathe? The fish here takes in water through its mouth. The water then passes over the gills and is thrown out. Now, as the water passes over the gills, there is an exchange of gases taking place. The blood takes in the oxygen from the water. Let's do it again. So here I have a fish, and the fish will take in this water. This water will then pass over the gills, and as it passes over the gills, the exchange of gases will take place. Means whatever oxygen is inside will enter into the gills, and the carbon dioxide from the gills will get into the water and will be thrown out. So this is how a fish breathes. That's the reason why in this picture now you see when we get this fish out of water, it dies. Why do fish? There's so much more oxygen on land than in water. But why does a fish die when it get onto land? Because a fish cannot take in the oxygen from the land. It needs to take in dissolved oxygen.